Welcome to Sacred Rhythms, where we are trying to find new and renewed meaning in the ancient spiritual practices of liturgical worship. I'm glad that you're checking in with me. The reason that I decided to come up with this Facebook group is because everybody is looking for a better spiritual life, but hardly anybody is looking in church to find it. And I think this is really unfortunate because those of us who love liturgical worship, like I do, find that it shapes your entire life, not just your worship life, but your whole life. And it orients your entire life to God. And I can't think of anything else that does it automatically, beautifully, easily, like liturgical worship. I love liturgical worship. And now the past 35 years have been big for the worship wars, where there have been all kinds of people who have been saying, well, you need contemporary worship. No, you need liturgical worship. And you've had people fighting with each other about which kind of worship is better. And now you've got millions and millions of people who are becoming totally disillusioned with contemporary worship. That's contemporary worship that they're becoming disillusioned with. Todd Hunter, who is a former national director at Vineyard Churches and has served on the board of directors and executive committee of Alpha, and whose website you can visit at www.toddhunter.com, has written a book talking about all of the people who have become disillusioned with contemporary worship. This is on the West Coast. And they now understand that it was wrong to engage in the dualistic thinking that pits liturgical worship against contemporary worship. That's just not good. Because see, even non-liturgical churches have a worship format, a liturgy, if you will, that they follow every single week. For example, Calvary Chapel, where Mike and I go, it always begins, always, with where we go when we're on vacation. That's the only time we go there, is when we're on vacation, and we go there because we know the sermon is going to be good and is not going to tick us off beyond work. But even Calvary Chapel, which is not liturgical, it has a format that it follows week in, week out. First, it starts out with 30 minutes of 7-Eleven songs. Same seven phrases 11 times. The first one is always a call to worship song, and then it gets increasingly intimate in the music. I like them. Mike endures them because he knows that the sermon is coming and the sermon is going to be good. So the first thing is this 30 minutes of praise music. And then it's followed by announcements, always announcements. And then a prayer. And then the teaching, the sermon. And then at the last, an altar call. And it always follows this same format. Week after week after week after week. I would get so bored with that format week after week after week after week. But, you know, any friend of Jesus is a friend of mine. And they are definitely friends of Jesus at Calvary Chapel. And I like going there when Mike and I are on vacation. However, what I've got to say is that worship in a contemporary setting can become just as dull and dry and rote as any liturgical worship service has ever been accused of being. And that's why millions of Americans today are leaving the hip churches And some of them are beginning to look at liturgical worship again. A lot of those people are beginning to rediscover liturgical worship, at least on the West Coast, where this whole phenomenon began. And stuff begins on the West Coast, and then it goes to the East Coast, and then it kind of goes across the country. At least religiously, that's how it goes. We'll see if this is what happens. But in any case, there is a renewed interest in liturgical worship. And what I want to do is I want to show you how the liturgy itself just teaches you practices that help you anchor your life in God and serve others. And that's going to be the point of our time together in this Facebook group. Thanks a lot for signing on. I hope that you're interested, and I will try really, really hard not to screw up in terms of getting you in the Facebook group if you want to come. Thanks a lot. Bye.